Shana. Welcome, everyone, to the Wednesday evening Aramaic School of Light. And tonight we have something very interesting for you. I'm going to do a little speaking, and also Rebecca Johns is also going to be speaking this evening. And we're going to open up with the Lord's Prayer as usual. Shall we pray? Awun Dwashmayanet Kadeshishmach. Dette Malkutha Nechwe Sibiana Kakana the Shmeya Apar Howlan Lachma Sunkanan Yaumana Washwoklan How Bain A Kanadap Hanan Schwaken Lahayawain La Tatanisiona Ella Pasad Min Bisha Mithol Tilahi Malkutha Haila Tishpochta La'alam Halmin. Amen. Tonight, I'm going to be doing something very special, and that is because we are in Holy Week, and everyone, when what we call Good Friday comes on, which is in another day or two, we always call it Good Friday. But in the ancient Near East, it's not called Good Friday. It's called Suffering Friday, because that was the hardest time for Jesus and his crucifixion and death. So in the Near East, that's what they call it. But there's one thing I would like to remove, and I'm going to do this every Holy Week as long as I'm here, and I'm going to do this. It's the words of Jesus he cried out on Suffering Friday when he was crucified. And so, what I'm going to do is call up the actual manuscript itself and read it to you so you can see it. It will be Matthew and the 27th chapter and the 46th verse. Okay, I'm going to call it, I have it on one screen here. I'm going to bring it into another. If you'll just be patient, I will bring it in. Okay. Then I'm going to share. All right. Let me bring it over here and enlarge it. All right. I'm going to say it exactly the way he has it here. This is the verse here. You're looking at Matthew, the 27th chapter, and the 46th verse. This line here, which is an M and a wow, or meme and a wow, which is an M and, well, it's a number now. It's 46. This is verse 46. This is 40 and this is 6. And it starts here. And I'm going to read it to you in Aramaic and then break down every word so you can get it. Okay. Here it is. This is the very first word, but there's two. It's acts as one word, but it's really two. This is the conjunction and this is the word, but they make it just one word. So we got wilape. That's how you pronounce that. Wilape. Wila. This is a W, L, A, and then P, A, I. Wilape. Wilape. Okay, this word ape, that's A-P-I, Aleph Yod. Notice how that yod is made? See how a full yod is made right here? Okay. So when we say welape, this word, the root of the word is A-P-I or Y. Okay. So this word itself has so many meanings in Aramaic. It means your face. It means your countenance. It means your presence. And I'm just giving you just real quick. There are many other words. It also means toward, about, so other many meanings. It depends on how it's used in the sentence. So when it says here, and toward, I can translate it, and towards ninth hour. This is Tasha. This is the word for ninth right here. I can say and about, or I can say and toward ninth hour. This is the word for hour. Sha'ain. Sha'ain is how you pronounce it. So Tasha, Sha'ain in Aramaic. And this means ninth. Literally, these two dots that you see here that are square, they're not small dots like here or here, but the square dots means this word is plural. It's really hours, but you can't say that in English. About the night, we have to make it singular. And about or towards the ninth hour. Then it says ka. This word ka in Aramaic means it's, and this little dot here means it's in the past tense. Cried out. That's what it says. And then the next word is Yeshua. That is Jesus, and that's how you pronounce it. Yeshua. I pronounced the whole thing for you. Yeshua. And in Hebrew, they just don't make the yod a vowel, but it is in Aramaic. They say Yeshua or Yeshua. Okay, so it's Yeshua. So, and the verb always precedes the noun here. So this is the verb, and this is Jesus, the noun. We would say, and Jesus cried out, but here it's cried out, Jesus, bakala, in a voice. Now the word is not, or in a loud voice, if you want to say, if I have to say the whole thing here, bakala rama. Kala rama means a high voice, which in English we would say a loud voice. So Jesus cried out in a loud voice, and this word here, here's the conjunction and again, and emmar, and I pronounce it wemmar, wemmar, and said, this is what he cried out and said. Here it is. This is the true saying of Jesus, not what's always taught on Suffering Friday. Ale, ale. And notice he didn't use the term alaha. He's using ale, which is more a Palestinian way of pronouncing God's name. Ale, ale. In Hebrew, this would be El, El, and it's spelled this way, Aleph and Lamed, Aleph and Lamed in Hebrew. But the dot under the Aleph is short, very short in Hebrew, so they say El, El. But in Aramaic, they open it. These dots, which is the vowel, opens it to ale, 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 ale. And it literally says is, oh God, oh God. Not, oh my God is not there. Remember I told you the yod? If it was my God, it would be Eli, Eli, but it's not Eli, Eli. It's Ale, Ale. This is just the lamed. The lamed is curved up towards the end here, just curved up. I showed you here. Here's a yod. That's the Y, the I. That's it right there. And that's what should be here, but it's not. See what it looks like here? And it's not there. So it's ale, ale, oh God, oh God. And this is the word here, and they attach the preposition here, to what? I pronounce this la mana. To what? To what? What? Schwaktan. To what? You can also say for what, and also can mean why. I'm going to explain this in a little bit. To what? And here's the word schwak. Now, this word, SHBQ, that's the root of the word right here, has many, many meanings in Aramaic. It means to forgive. It means to untie. I wrote down here several of them here so you can get the meaning of it. It means also to spare, to leave, to desert, to forgive, to allow, to permit, and also to keep. This is just this one word here, schwaktan. So you have to know the subtle use of the language and how they're using it in here. When it's written, you can translate it incorrectly, which happened when it went from Aramaic to Greek. When they went into the Greek, they said, which is being interpreted. That's what it says in the Greek, which is being interpreted, my God, why have you forsaken me, deserted me, abandoned me? The reason why I'm laughing is, and all Bibles everywhere say it, Dr. Lambs is the only one that, from his translation in Aramaic, that makes the change because he understands the subtle use of it. And I'm going to read just a paragraph. Well, it's two paragraphs, but not too long. They're short, of why he did that. And if you're wanting to know how he wrote it and where you can see it, I'll give it to you in a minute after I go through that. But first, I want to explain the word. This means what. Mana means what. And the word this is hana. Hana and mana. And sometimes a scribe could mistakenly think this is mana instead it was lahana. For this, but I'll go into it in a little more. But this is to, this is the preposition to, and this is mana, what, to what? You have kept me. To what purpose? To what end? To what cause? You have kept me. Or for this cause you have kept me. And that's the meaning of it. In other words, Jesus did not say, why have you deserted me? Why have you abandoned me? And just think of all the sermons you're going to hear on what we call Good Friday because of not understanding the Aramaic. When it went into Greek, the Greeks wasn't too sure what it means. That's why it says, which is being interpreted. And here, this is the Aramaic text right here. It doesn't say which is being interpreted because it knows exactly what it's saying. El, oh God, to what a purpose you have kept me means this is my destiny. This is to fulfill all righteousness, to fulfill that we will have power. He's going to bring to light that humankind has power over sin, sickness, and death. He demonstrated everything he ever taught when he forgave sins, when he healed sicknesses, and now his death is going to show that mankind has power over, that humanity has power now, the cross, death, and a horrible death, but he has power over it. He didn't say, my God, why have you deserted me? He just told his disciples before this happened, you will leave me, but my Father is with me always. You will abandon me, but my Father is with me always. God can't. Where's God going to flee from? And you think he has eyes in the sense that we have eyes and he turns his head and not look? No. Jesus, this is a triumphant cry, not a cry of desertion and doubt concerning his Father. Why? The verse says, "Why have you forsaken me?" In other words, Jesus is now doubting when he's been teaching his disciples all the whole time. And let me tell you something else. Had Jesus said, and all those around the cross who heard him, if he had meant, "Why have you forsaken me?" they would have said, "See, we told you he was a sinner. He was no good. You see, God has forsaken him." Not one of them understood that as being forsaken. Some of them thought he was calling on Elijah because his voice was weak, even though it says in a loud voice, in a Bakala Rama. Okay, so this is the meaning. And one more thing now before Rebecca comes on. I want to read you. This is from Dr. Lambs, and I'm going to show you the book in a minute. Let me stop sharing. You all got that? Ale, write it AilmanoShwakTani. Schwachsen. Okay, that ends it. All right, and I'm reading from Aramaic Light on the Gospel of Mark and Luke. But this one is just strictly from, and it's page 95, the words Mana Schwachten. The challenge, this is Dr. Lambson now, the challenge and difficulty in translating Mana Schwachten was due to a misunderstanding of the Aramaic unintended use of the term, in the intended use of the term and their various meanings. The word schwak can mean, as I gave it to you, to spare, to leave, to desert, to forgive, to allow, to permit, to keep, and it has many more, but I didn't put it all in here. Also, the translators mistook the word mana, which can mean why, for what, to what, for this. In vernacular Aramaic, people use the word lamodi or lamodi mindi. You get that? Lamodi or lamodi mindi. For what, and it means for what cause or to what cause. Why, if it was why, usually when it lamana is used to mean why, it is preceded by the word mitol. Mitol. Mitol lamana appears throughout a book that was written by a great soldier and physicist named Job of the Church of the East in the 9th century CE. Schwak is one of the most difficult words to translate, especially for foreigners who read Aramaic but cannot converse in the language. The words Lamana Schwachten that appear in Matthew and Mark mean for this cause, or matter, or thing, I was spared or kept. All through my life, I was kept by God, and at the cross is where this is what he kept me for, to finally show that humankind has power over death. He showed power over sin, as I said, he showed power over sickness, and now it's death coming up. That is to say, this is my destiny. This is my destiny. At times, Aramaic speaking people use this expression for an exclamation with a shaking of their heads. In other words, to what an end or purpose you have kept me. for this cause. Throughout his life, Jesus trusted in God, also who guided and directed him in everything. He never doubted or questioned his Father's wisdom. He was always in accord with God and never felt that he was alone or without God's presence. Oh, there's a little more to it, but that's all I wanted to read you. And that's in Aramaic Light on the Gospels of Mark and Luke. You won't hear that anywhere else unless those people know Aramaic and have been exposed to Dr. George M. Lamsa, Rabbi Lamsa, my mentor. Okay, that's what I wanted to present tonight. And now we're going to go straight to Rebecca.
Thank you, Rabbi Taudi, we say, and Shlama Amchon, everyone. Peace be among you. I'm just so moved listening to this teaching, Rabbi. So moved.
Thank you.
I want to introduce something. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I have to now. If you are someone who has Aramaic Light on the Beatitude handy, I want to bring this up on page 7, where Rabbi Errico gives us the Beatitudes in the phonetic spelling so that you can kind of get the mouth of the words, but it's there in English as well. And I'd like to point to one in particular. I'm going to mention two. طويخن أمث دمهستين لخون ردبين لخون وعمرين عليكن تلميلا بيشا ملث بدبالوثا. That's a mouthful. Even for me, and I'm a Syrian. It reads this: blissful are you when they are reviling you and persecuting you and are saying every malicious word against you falsely because of me. The first beatitude, however, on page 5, if you're looking at the book, reads this: blissful are they, the poor in spirit, for theirs is the consulship of the heavens. In the East, as our Rabbi has shown us beautifully with the picture of the crucifixion, in the East, suffering is not from damnation. In the East, as we see in the stories of Isaiah and the other prophets, as we see from Job, as we see from David, as we see throughout the book, suffering is a gateway to the access of the consulship of the heavens. What human beings meet up with in their own weakness, their own limitation of the flesh, is the starting point. The end of the humanity is the starting point of the spirit. And so Jesus experiencing the full experience of human being did not expose suffering the way humans understood it. He exposed suffering to be the perimeters of the consciousness of human being to have greater understanding for their circumstance. You know, if you're married, you have suffered for your marriage. If you have children, you have suffered for your children. If you pursued higher levels of education, you suffered for your education. But that's not to say you were miserable, even if there was pain. There was to say that you had a devotion to that which was greater to you than your own personality and what you'd known yourself to be capable of to date. And that point of inner struggle, which really is what suffering is about, It's the inner struggle. Now, might we have physical circumstances? Absolutely. But have you noticed how some people get through some physical circumstances and seem to land on their feet, and others wallow in it forever? I'm currently working out with my sons in the gym. Right before I came on tonight, I did a row, those, you're pulling the row, seated rows, you pull it towards you, 165 pounds I rode tonight. And there's an inner struggle that I must encounter. Is it physical? Sure, a little. You might think, oh, rowing 165 pounds, how's that a little struggle? Because it's here that the decision is made. It is here that the act of devotion lives. It is here in the heart and in the mind, in the libba and in the hauna. And what Jesus is asking us to consider, simply by the way he lived and the way he died and the way he resurrected, is to consider that these greatest moments of suffering be understood as the greatest moments of the opportunity to surrender. To surrender. And we spoke these last couple of weeks, Robbie and I have talked about some similar paralleling topics. And the message was surrender happens with attunement. And even on the cross, even during his crucifixion, the same teaching he gave us his entire life, which is why we are clear he did not suddenly flip his script. He didn't on the cross go, oh my gosh, all that stuff I was telling you guys, whoa, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. God does forsake you. And here I am as living proof of that. No, as Rabbi is teaching us tonight, what he proclaimed in that voice that may have been weak from physical fatigue, but was loud and firm in its devotion to its truth, was there's no mistake here, Creator. There's no mistake here.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it is meant. How it's meant. This is not something that in the West we talk much of, especially in America, because, we're number one. And, you want it, you go get it. But in the East, we temper what we think we should have. We temper what we think we want to check it against the consulship of the heavens. Sometimes my father would say, something isn't meant for you, brati. Everything isn't meant for everybody. And Jesus is a living, breathing example of when you encounter circumstances that your humanity might consider as off-putting, as painful, as damning, as wrong. I mean, look at the world. Do we have the inner compass that conducts our space with more truth than what the inner struggle is trying to tell us about? Do we have something in us? And we do, because Allah Ruchau, God is spirit, and we descended from that spirit, and that spirit that lives in us, that is the part and particle of the great I am, is what we lean into for victory, for overcoming. And where does the overcoming occur? In the inner kingdom. You may lose your job. You may. I was in a car accident 5 years ago. I lost my sight in my eye. You may lose things. You might even die, Jesus showed us. But the inner power that is granted to each and every one of us by our source and sustainer of life, who we call God, who we call Allah, who we call El, who we call a lot of things, right? There are some parts of the world where they don't use words, they use a click of a tongue is their expression for creator. But it doesn't matter. What matters is our surrender, which is an act of trust, an act of faith, a practice of attunement, to understand what was meant, to lean into what was meant, so that we're cooperating with Creator, so that we're cooperating with what is intended to be. You plant 5 seeds, you don't always get 5 plants. But you can do your portion as a faithful farmer. You can water, you can tend, you can weed. And then you be a good steward of what comes out. And this is what Jesus was showing us. This is the beauty of his surrender on the cross. There was no coming down from that cross. There's no undoing certain situations, whether we feel we deserve them or not. I had a mentor that used to say, "Oh, you think something shouldn't have happened? Well, it should have. That's why it did. If something shouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have happened. But it did." Now, can you surrender? Can you experience pain without suffering? Meaning, be miserable, be in agony. Oh, my whole day is ruined because that happened. Oh, that just ruined my year. When we understand that suffering is a teaching point, when suffering breaks the outer identity so that the inner identity can be born. Here's why that's crucial. Some of you might think, well, to heck with the inner Rebecca, like I don't want to suffer on the outside. But that is how we prevail and overcome the suffering on the outside. That is. It's the surrender to the inner that gives us dominion of the outer. This is why we're told, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be given to you. You want power in this world? You want peace in this world? You want happiness in this world? Great. You can have it. But your access isn't going to be in this world, because this world has corruption. This world has evil. This world has wrong in it. So then how can you have the heart of Jesus as you face your dark hours, as you face the outer circumstances? And he teaches us very generously in his example that his devotion was mental. He didn't let his mind go far away from what he said he was devoted to. Mm-hmm. Some of us have not disciplined our minds. We allow our minds to just go wandering. What ifs? What then? What about? How come? And that's not fair. And you know my problem. And you know what I remember? And the replay, the tapes, the woulda, shoulda, couldas. We lose track of our mind with entertainment, with what the world is giving us to watch and listen to. It could be television, music, radio, the news, social media, Facebook, whatever you got. The mind, the infiltration of the mind. Jesus, Yeshua Masraya Mshika, was a master of his mind as a human being. And he knew how to keep people around him to help guard his mind too. But then there was his heart. He made sure that he embodied the emotional table. If we're going to surrender into spirit, if we're going to suffer for the kingdom of heaven, then we must take responsibility for our emotional platform. You can't fly off the handle because someone cuts you off in traffic. Although I've been guilty of the same. I've murmured and muttered with the best of them. And those are the same moments that ruined my day. The emotional table being the heart space. Robbie, I don't know what we say in Aramaic in the ancient for it, but in the modern Assyrian, by the way, Happy New Year, Chag Nisan. It's our new year. The Assyrian New Year is today. But in Assyrian, we say libasopia, a pure heart. A heart that, yeah, you're human, but you keep yourself devoted to righteousness. You keep yourself anchored. You affirm what is good. You're human and you've got shortcomings, but you're not malicious. You don't deliberately cause harm. Libasopia. And then the physical order of things. You know, Jesus was very serious about order. The time, the place, the people, the words. When is there food? When is there not? And although a lot of it was very intuitive, and perhaps some of it was even cultural, he allowed for order in the physical realm. He understood how to conduct himself in the physical realm. And he set an example for those who followed him then and those of us who follow his teachings now to be people of order, to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, to turn the other cheek. This was the cheat sheet. This was a cheat code on how to move through a world that was corrupt. And we even hear this message in the message of Paul. I know we kind of give Paul a hard time sometimes. A lot got moved around through those teachings. But 2 Corinthians 12:10 says, when I am weak, then I am strong. When my human being has hit its wall, when it is the end of me, I find the strength of my Creator. Khaylit alaha, the power of God. That, as we've talked about in these last few weeks, alchemizes. When you're truly sourced by Khaylit alaha, you experience Sultana, the authority to have dominion over this realm. But that can't happen if we're fighting with this realm. That can't happen if we look at our circumstances through the lens of, poor me, this shouldn't happen to me, figures it would happen to me, just my luck. Page 4 of the Aramaic Light on the Beatitudes, Errico says, what is absolutely astounding about these teachings is that Jesus directly approaches and calls upon what is natural in everyone. And that's natural for us to experience weakness. Paul says in 2 Corinthians 4:8, we are pressed, but not crushed. Jesus was pressed on the cross. He wasn't crushed, or there would have been no resurrection. It did not destroy him. And I would venture to guess that if each of us were to take a look into our own lives at situations that maybe we have inflated, we have resisted, this shouldn't be happening to me, and instead surrendered, well, It is happening to me. But it is. So now what? So now what? And I would suggest that the suffering that we go through, which is not necessary, but a learning opportunity, is really a function of our resistance to our transformation. That when human being is suffering in life circumstances, it's because we resist the circumstance and what that circumstance is meant to move us, guide us, and transform us into, from, and through. And so we resist. And what you resist persists.
So,
But when you surrender, there's nothing, you're fighting with nothing. You are being present. You're present in the now, and the suffering exposes the unconsciousness that has been there to date. And it's an opportunity to operate from a higher level of consciousness. But this can only occur in the mind and hearts of those willing for what is meant to occur in life and not what they want to have happen in life. If it's meant for a trauma to happen in your life, can you accept that? If it's meant to lose someone in your life to death, transition into spirit, can you accept that? This is the challenge of the human mind, and the invitation to have a spiritual mind. Hauna. Remember the three co-essential attributes of Ithiya Rabbah. The first one being Hauna, the mind. So that we can even come up with the kinds of thoughts that one would have if they were to surrender into the higher level of consciousness. Hekmetha, wisdom, the second co-essential attribute. Wisdom. So that we know and can be aware, conscious at a higher level. So that khayy, the life of it, the manifestation of it, the realization of it, can be made true. But when we are stuck in the human mind, we lack the innovation. We work more to gain knowledge and are absent of wisdom. And in some cases, we bring something to realization. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we bring things to manifestation and we're miserable with it. Some things we bring to manifestation we didn't mean to. And some things we fail to bring to manifestation because we're not established in the Hauna and the Khmetha and the Khayy, the three co-essential attributes, to have the dominion over this life that we've been granted. We have been granted it. Which is why Ishwa Nasraya Mshicha was so confident looking at each and every one of us and telling us, Nahweh Nuharat Allah. You are the light for this world. It says of this world, but you're the part of the light that has been brought into this realm in that particular container to illuminate. And the opportunity is just only that, an opportunity. Opportunities not taken are a matter of choice. But how many of us who have been around for more than a couple decades look back and realize we missed some opportunities? Opportunity was at our door, and we did not surrender to what was meant. We fought it. We rebuked it. We wanted our way. And in getting our way, resisting what was meant, we missed out on the transformation, the transfiguration, the transcension that is promised by God right through your soul into your human being, that Ishwa Messiah and Shikha embodied, taught, practiced, and left with us, that we, even today, thousands of years later, can stand in the truth of his teachings, his proclamation, Charazutatam Shikha, and that we can experience our greatest sufferings as our greatest access to Ithiya Rabba, the self-existent one, the great presence, source and sustainer of our lives, that highest and greatest will would be done in us, through us, and as us. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'll stop my speaking now because we've only got a few more minutes, and I would imagine there might be some questions. Okay, I'm going to read these. I'm not sure if they're going to be for me or Robbie. Robbie, it says, I recently watched an interview of a priest who is an exorcist talking about all the encounters he has had with demons during these exorcisms. I didn't know if I believed all of what he said and seemed a little over-exaggerated. What does the Bible say about demons and demonic possession through the Aramaic language? Do you want to answer that?
I can, but that takes a whole teaching on that because there's a lot involved. People don't understand that. To be demon possessed in the scriptures, especially, they use different expressions. I mean, an unclean thought, or spirit, which means an unclean thought. In the sense of unclean is you want to hurt somebody or you want to hurt yourself or stuff like that. It's thoughts that have taken over completely. And of course, there's a whole lot more to it. I'd have to get into all the different words that they use in Aramaic that is different. We use the Greek demons and even demons in Greek had a different meaning when it was first given. Demons didn't mean something sinister. It meant your inner secrets of self, whether they were good or bad. That's how they used that. Originally used the term demon. But we've changed it. And when we're reading the scriptures, we misunderstand it. And for me to go into it right now, when we're closing out the session, it takes too much. But if you want to add a little more to that, you can. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you, Robbie. I think it's important to understand the whatever you were watching and the priest and the exorcism was done from a cultural perspective. And so when you ask for us to talk about it from the Aramaic lens, there's not literal demons in the Aramaic culture.
Right.
They're not. It's an idiomatic expression
Mhm.
to label that which a human being is struggling with. That's that inner struggle we're talking about, right?
Right.
But it's also expressed. Some of you bring up, that Jesus called Peter Satan. That's an expression. Those are ways that in the East we say things like you're out of order, you're out of line, you've gone too far, get it in check, right? We as children were called demons and devils and Satans all the time because when we were mischievous, we were called those things. So when someone is doing an exorcism or there is a healing of some sort taking place, what's happening is that a person is facilitating a circumstance, an occasion where that human can get set right in themselves. So they're no longer all twisted and contorted in themselves. This is absolutely an entire teaching, but I want to just assure you that from the Semitic cultural lens of the Aramaic and the Peshitta, when there's reference to demons or devils or Satan, it's idiomatic speech and it is not literal.
Yes, we even do that in English. Sometimes when a person is tremendously clever, really smart and giving a real wonderful answer, always say, "Oh, you devil, you! Why didn't I figure that out?" I mean, you, we use that in English. We use all kinds of things, and even referring to children who are mischievous. We say, "Oh, those little devils! Look at what they're doing now." We don't mean they're demon possessed at all. A lot of the Aramaic expressions have to do, as Rebecca used the term very clearly, but what it means is a behavior or a word or an action that doesn't fit the normal circumstances. And that's how it was used. They didn't believe something possessed them, just like when the men who were mentally ill and they knew it, and Jesus healed them. They said, "If you heal us, give us permission to," literally, it was translated literally, "to enter the pigs." you know, in other words, let the spirit jump out of us and jump into the pigs. No, 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 no. Because of that word, that's that word al in Aramaic, it means to to attack them. Give us permission to attack the pigs and shove them off into the water, because pigs were unclean to Jewish people. And here was a Jewish prophet performing healings, doing all of this. So they asked him, "We'd like to do you a favor if you heal us. May we attack the pigs?" And Jesus said, "Do what you will." And that's why the townspeople and the owner of some of the pigs came and said, "Jesus, please leave." Get out of here. You're going to kill our business because we raise nothing but pigs. Then you're going to kill our business, our industry for our town. And they ask him to go. How could you tell a holy man and a healer, tell him to go? Because you have to understand the custom, not only the language, but the customs of the people, the culture that's behind the custom. And you have to understand that when Jesus when he healed people of, with the way it's written in our scriptures, as demons, of inner emotional problems, some mental problems, and some physical. Some were physical, and they called it a demon thing too. But he healed them. So you have to understand that's how they spoke in the Near East, using all those type of things. But no spirit jumped out of the men, the two men that he healed, and jumped into the pigs, and the pigs went crazy. And just think, those poor evil spirits had to get out again. They got out of the men, then they had to get out of the pigs because the pigs were drowning. Come on now. That doesn't make sense at all. It's just, you have to understand you're reading a book that wasn't written to us in the West. And
By the way, we still use these terms.
yes,
These are still active. They're alive and real. This isn't just Jesus's time. This is right now.
right. It's happening right now. Exactly. I don't know about that priest. I'd have to hear him. I'd have to know. I don't pass judgment on people. I don't do that. And so I would have to hear him and then understand what he is getting at. See, but
Yes.
he may have gone too far. I don't know, but I didn't hear him. What's the next question?
All right.
Last,
I want to
last week.
acknowledge there were a couple comments in the chat, and I want to encourage everyone to put your comments that you want us to acknowledge in the Q&A. But for tonight, I'll address it. One of the questions was about the replays of these. You can go to our YouTube channel. Noora Foundation is on YouTube, on Facebook, and on TikTok. So please go and follow those channels, share them, comment, tag people you know, let them know that we are growing through the digital platform as well. So you can see that there. We do not have a write-up on those 3 co-essential attributes that I was mentioning of Ethia Rabba, but that's something that I can work on with Rabbi Errico and make it available sometime in the future. The last question of the night is this. Last week's teaching was so helpful, Rebecca, that we are not of this world, although we are in it. I kept saying this to stand strong against the evil in this world on some issues, still going through those, yet I am okay and standing strong. Thank you for that, and Rabbi. Thank you for tonight's teaching. This was the best information that caused me to get all books I could and even contacted those in California for more. I have all of your commentaries too. Here is something to share I found in the Gospel Light. I purchased the books back in 1989 by George Lemsa and found a flyer. Jesus Was Not Forsaken, copyright 1989 by Nina Shabazz, the administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. God bless Nina and the work that she did, keeping her uncle's work alive and making sure that Rabbi Errico was always empowered to do the work that he has done for many decades now. Those are all of our questions tonight, Rabbi.
Well, what if there's some more in the Q&A? It says, I love this. Working out is suffering, and the reward is greater than the suffering. Are recordings of these evenings available? Yeah, you just gave that.
Yes, I answered that and the next one.
And what about some decades ago? Oh, yeah, we just did that one.
David says, some decades ago, this quote came through me, and it's this: in order to demonstrate, we must get out our demons, our thoughts straight.
Yes.
That's good, David. That's good.
Yes,
I appreciate that. Oh, and Reverend Hanny is here too. Shlama Hanny.
Good evening.
Yes, and
How are
on
you?
our YouTube channel.
Anything you want to say tonight, Reverend Hanny?
That was wonderful. I'm glad I got to join, and I should be coming home around the 12th. So
our prayers continue.
Keep me in your prayers. Yes, I know they are. Thank you so much.
For sure. God bless your family.
Thank you.
Okay, great job, you two. Alaha Baruchun. Oh, we got some Aramaic in here. Did you see that?
Oh, wait. I got to get over. I got to bounce around. I'm
It's
on my phone
Philip.
tonight. Oh, that's my brother.
Oh.
Great job, you two. Alaha Baruch Lochon. That means God bless you all. Quick question. Why did it become called Good Friday?
Well, that's what we did in the West. It was made up here in the West, not from the Near East. Oh, we do so many the churches have done many different things here. Okay. But what was the impetus? I don't know what made them think of it as Good Friday. I actually don't know.
I'll do a little bit of digging on that, Khuni. If I can find anything, I'll let you know.
All right, everyone. Bless you. We love you. And next week, it'll be strictly Rebecca, because I will be going to visit with my granddaughter. I'm going to be a great grandfather because my granddaughter is going to have a baby girl. So I'm going to have a great.
Wow.
It's just amazing. So that's why Rebecca's going to be taking the whole thing next Wednesday.
Awesome.
And then I'll be back and we'll be going back and forth. Who knows what else we have planned? Only God knows.
We're letting the Spirit lead. So everybody, if you would all please keep Reverend Hanny in your prayers, Reverend Dr. Errico in your prayers for safe travels with everything they're doing with their families and safe returns. I will see you next week, and I look forward to being with you then. God bless you. Peace.
Love you, everyone.